Hello, David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream. Just realized I never set up where my camera is pointing. I have a checklist to try and keep me on track for getting set up for the stream, but I skipped a step. In any case, welcome Ricardo, welcome Remy. You guys got we all got pretty sweet characters, pretty unique. Ricardo's got some sort of magical hoe, I think. Some sort of cool looking thing. Remy's got a bald bearded guy with some kind of the blacksmith overalls. I've got an orc with the horned helmet and a sweet white braid. Hey Michael, welcome to the stream. You've also got a really sweet weapon. It kind of looks like a machete or like a scimitar. Big beard. We're looking good. We're looking good today. Seems like a Yeti, says Remy. Yeah, so I have been forgetting to mention this for the last recent amount of time, but the overlay is a Godot app that we built on stream like a year and a half ago. It could probably use some improvements, some updates. Maybe we'll dedicate a stream to fixing it up at some point. But yeah, how is everybody doing? Oh man, I am exhausted today. I am tired. I'm so happy that it is Friday. I'm kind of coming down. Well, I'm coming out of a cold. I got a cold towards the end of the weekend, and it's just drained me this whole week. And I kind of also didn't really feel like I had a weekend last weekend because I did the Global Game Jam. Did anyone else do the Global Game Jam? It was super fun despite getting sick. I had a great time. But yeah, what's up with you guys? Did you guys do the Global Game Jam? How are your projects going? How is everything? But I'm really looking forward to this weekend. It'll be like a real weekend where I can relax and see my family and things. What else has been going on? I guess Godot 4 is almost upon us, and that is both terrifying and exciting. I guess until I hear from you guys what you had going on or your projects or whatever. Ooh, Micah says going to get 2 characters today because I had to reset. Well, that's cool. Double the interesting characters we'll get to see. But yeah, while everyone's getting in and hopefully vigorously typing a comment telling me how you're doing, I could show you guys what we built for the Global Game Jam. I don't know how well the audio is coming through. Probably not very well. Like, I can barely hear it on my end, but the sound design is really cool. Let me see if I can turn it up somehow. This is theoretically louder. I don't know if it's louder for you. Yeah, so the theme for the Global Game Jam was roots, and we took that in what I thought was a unique way with like a server root. So you're trying to get the roots of all the servers and the root node and all of this sort of hacker kind of take on it. But then when I was looking through the games after the fact, there were a bunch of people who did a hacker take on roots. So it wasn't all that unique. But yeah, we started out with a rather large team of 5-ish people who were around for like the ideation process, and then 2 of the people had other stuff going on and kind of dropped off, and then it was myself, Logan Lang, who is frequently on the stream. I don't know if he's going to turn up today, and Will, who did the sound. And the sound is amazing. I hope you guys can hear it well. Remy says can hear it. You should check out the game. I'll put the link somewhere so you guys can like hear it for yourself in headphones. Hang on a second. Yeah, it's up on itch. I'll drop it into here. But Hack Up was the game we made. So the idea is you have to hack the root node, which you go up to a node, press the space bar, and then you just like slap keys and it like types out the code, which seems so dumb, but it feels so good. My daughters loved it. My older daughter tried it first and like got through pretty far in it. My younger daughter was like, how do you know what code to type? And I'm like, no, it's just faked. You just press any key and it types out the code. And she's like, what? And then she tried it, and then she just felt so badass doing it. You could tell she was really, really into it. So anyway, it's kind of a puzzle action game thing. So now you have these child nodes which you have to hack before the Root node can be hacked. If you go try to hack it early, you get a little rejection thing going on there. And you can hack the root node. Yay, you hacked the root node. Advance. And then they start getting some defenses. That's kind of where the puzzle action part comes into it. Here, actually, I'll get myself hit so you can see that. Ugh. Ugh. We went for a kind of Tron cyberpunk kind of aesthetic for the game. Here, I'll just get past this real quick so I can show you one of the more interesting puzzles. We won't play it too long because I actually am terrible at this game. There's the last level is like I've beaten it like once. All right, took that guy out who was shooting. Oop, who was shooting over here. We'll just get to a level where it kind of looks cool and you can see the sort of Rube Goldberg machine that kind of goes on in the later levels. Anyway, I'm super happy with how it turned out, and it was a super chill jam. Like mostly it was just me and Logan hanging out. Like I think I've taken every single other jam that I participated in more seriously than this one. We were just like chilling and talking for a solid 50% of the time, and then working on the game the other 50%. But it was super fun. It was great to do an in-person jam, get out of the house a little bit, see other human beings, which I just don't do anymore. But yeah, that's that is what we put together. So it doesn't look like anyone else has anything they want to share, which makes me sad. I love to hear about what's going on with you guys. But yeah, let's talk about what we're going to be working on today. So same as last stream, we've been working on porting SG Physics 2D, which is my deterministic 2D physics engine for Godot 3. We've been porting it to Godot 4. And in Godot 3, it is a Godot module, which is something that has to be compiled into the Godot engine. So you have to compile the whole engine. And we are porting it to a GDExtension, which is like a loadable thing. So on Windows, you'd have a DLL that you just drop in there, and Linux a .so, on Mac OS a .dylib. I think it ends up as a ARR on Android, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. But we've been working on porting that. Last stream, we got up to the point where everything compiled, and we tried to load it into Godot, and it crashed Godot. I did work on it a little bit since then, and I have it not crashing Godot, and the nodes from the GDExtension actually appearing in Godot, and things working a little bit. So what we're going to be working on today is we're going to be trying to get the demo projects and the like unit tests and functional tests running with the GDExtension in Godot 4, and we'll see how far we get on that. Gino, welcome to the stream. What kind of characters you get, Gino? You got a bearded bald man with some pointy armor. So the question is, Godot 4 is more easy to make online play? I would say yes. So Godot, I think in general, it's really easy to make a multiplayer game if you're just going to like throw it together and get something that works. Of course, making a multiplayer game that works well is always an endeavor. It doesn't matter what engine or tool you're using. That is going to be a long-term challenge for you as the game developer. But getting something that works at all, that you can test and just get going, is super, super easy, even in Godot 3. The RPC system is a really just intuitive way to jump in and get something working. Godot 4 adds a new system, like a system to like synchronize state of nodes. So rather than having to write your own code that sends the RPC messages to each of the clients, ooh, Remy is stuck up at the top. It's free Remy. There we go. You have this this more automatic system that is basically like synchronizing your scene between the different clients. So I would say having that system in Godot 4 makes it even easier to create a multiplayer game quickly. But yeah, it's still real easy in Godot 3 even. Remy asks, is there any good docs or tutorial on GDExtension. I know there's a template to start, but I'm not sure how everything works. Yeah, no, unfortunately. Or maybe there is and I just don't know about it. So the way that I've been doing this is I've been mostly looking at other working examples of GDExtensions, and that's how I've gotten started. So I actually don't think I use the template, although that's great that that exists now. I think what I did was I had worked on a GDExtension for a client some months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, and there was no template. And so I copied Fabio's WebRTC native GDExtension and sucked all that out and got my GDExtension working. And then when I started this, I copied the basis that I had done for that other thing. And then I've been looking at Fabio's extension and Ricardo's extension and some other stuff as just given the lack of docs, a way to figure things out. Although the goal for GDExtension is to make writing a GDExtension be as similar as possible to writing in-engine code for Godot. So if you have some experience actually hacking on Godot itself, GDExtension is fairly natural to shift into. And since I'm a Godot contributor, maintainer, whatever, that means I can kind of not have to learn exactly how it works a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to get a ton more documentation and tutorials and good stuff for GDExtension. Maybe I can help with that a bit after I have the experience of getting this whole GDExtension going. But yeah, I think post the 4.0 stable release, there's going to be a lot of work also in just making GDExtension better. I don't know if we decided to go with this, but there was discussion on some maintainer call that I was on of saying that GDExtension is still beta after the 4.0 stable release happens, with the idea that yeah, it's kind of 80% done, and we're gonna maybe still break things in order to make it better and better. But I don't know if that was decided or not. I don't know if that was official. Ooh, Ricardo has been working on some physics PRs. Ooh, CCD, man, has never worked in Godot 3, at least not in any of the cases I needed it to work. So I'm excited to see that actually working in Godot 4. And another one for passing indices to trimesh shapes. I saw that. I remember it had a compatibility breaking thing that maybe would mean it wouldn't happen, but I don't know. That sounds really cool. Gino says, I was trying to do a 4-player co-op run-and-gun platformer with your tutorial rollback, but it's hard to make it deterministic. Yes. If you are looking for easy multiplayer, don't make it rollback. So my rollback add-on, which this physics engine is all tied up in, because this is, the reason I created this physics engine was to do deterministic physics for use with my rollback add-on. And my rollback add-on makes it as easy as I think I could possibly conceivably make it to do rollback, but rollback is hard. Rollback is just hard. That's it's hard. You can never make it easy. You could just make it easier. If you want to get something working quickly and not have to lose your mind debugging determinism issues and state mismatches and all that stuff, probably just implement some sort of naive network synchronization and don't do rollback. But if you need any help getting rollback going, join the Discord. There's a link somewhere. I'm pointing in a direction that it might be. And there's lots of folks on my Discord who have experience using the rollback add-on, who I'm sure would be happy to help out. And I try to stay engaged there as much as I can too. Who's stuck on the bottom now? I think Gino was stuck on the bottom there. All right. Anyway, stop by the Discord. We will do what we can to help you out. Yeah. So. Let's launch some things. Let's launch some things and see what happens with SG Physics 2D here. Where is my project? No, it is not here. It is in here. All right, and I think what we're working on works with RC1, so we can actually launch Godot RC1, Godot 4 RC1. Oh, and it crashed. Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. I had this working yesterday. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, this does seem familiar. We may have to solve an issue before it will actually run. But that's fine. We're here to solve issues. This is what this stream is about. It looks like we're getting some sort of crash during like initialization of the nodes. So let's get in there. We can maybe get some more information by launching the editor and the debugger. So let's set that up. Let's get VS Code launching a debugger. And I'm regretting a little bit that having set up this project to be like Godot 3 and 4 in the same project. I may end up doing a thing where like it's in the same Git repo, but I actually have two separate VS Code projects because it's real weird making VS Code be happy about doing Godot 3 and Godot 4 in the same project. Yeah, right now I think we can do this with RC1. RC1 just came out 2 days ago, 1 day ago. I can't remember, but it's still pretty close to master. Remy, if you like rollback, I've been testing yesterday the Fray input add-on for Godot 4. Still in alpha, but a few lines of code I was able to create motion input. By motion input, you mean like you know, the what's the word? You know, like the rotating a stick for a fighting game kind of thing. Because I'm not familiar with that add-on, but it sounds cool. Okay, so we want to launch. No, not Godot 4. Here we want to launch home, dsnowpack, dl, something. Let's get a copy pastable chunk here. Okay, or no, wait a second. This will not have debug symbols in it. Our thing will have debug symbols, but will the debugger know how to find it? This is interesting. We haven't gotten to this point yet. How do you debug a GDExtension? What will happen if I try to run the debugger using a release Godot build, but a debug build of the GDExtension? Interesting. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the arguments we want are something like we want editor, we want path. Or no, we don't want path because the path is here. All right, let's try this. Yeah, quarter circle, Shoryuken, charge motion. Yeah, cool, cool. That is what I was imagining. The words just failed me. I have this problem where like start directory. Okay, so what I was gonna say is I have this problem with forgetting like basic words. I like constantly forget the word for napkin. Like, why do I forget the word for napkin all the time? I'm like, the thing you wipe your face with. I don't know. But let's figure out what's going on here. So can't CWD to this directory. Cool, but where am I asking you to change that directory? I'm saying CWD workspace folder. Oh, because it's running scans before it does it. Okay, so we also need to tell it to not try to build. Don't try to build. Building is not what we need. All right, take two. All right, so we are running the Godot editor. Cool. So it looks like, despite the fact that we have a release build of the editor, it has actually jumped to the correct spot in the code inside our GDExtension. Beautiful. Perfect. Just what we needed. I'm glad we didn't have to try and figure out how to make that work. So it looks like fix transform is null at this point. There were some changes that I had to make to like object initialization in getting the GDExtension to compile. So I bet we are seeing the sort of fallout of that. Although I'm looking in here and I'm seeing it's definitely initializing the fixed transform. Seg fault has occurred. So let's see what we got. Fixed transform has a very suspicious looking address. Very suspicious. What exactly is the seg fault here? Is this not initialized? Can I confirm that? Well, let's see how we get here, actually. That might also help us understand what's going on. So let's walk up the stack trace and see how do we get here. Okay, so SG collision object 2D, sync to physics engine is being called. We are setting the transform. Seems like that part's going fine. Or no, so get global transform. Okay, get global transform is where things are going wrong. We're returning a fixed transform. Get global transform internal. And then where's the next part of the trace? This is a weird leap from here to here. And then we ultimately get the seg fault up here at get global fixed transform internal. Well, this is related to the fixed transform and to the SG collision object 2D. I may want to look at the diff and see like what kind of changes do we make here, but I think first I'm gonna just kind of look around the fixed transform 2D code and look at its initialization, because I know we had to change some stuff with initialization. I'm kind of hoping that I will see something. So the fixed transform seems to be initialized right in both cases. Let's look at object. So an empty RID, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. Are we prepared for this occurrence? Okay. Instance bindings does not equal null pointer in object CPP. Let's chase this down. Let's chase this error down and see if it helps us. Because that seems super suspicious. That seems super suspicious. It's an object CPP. That's in the Godot source code though, so we're gonna have to hang on. Open up. No, come on. Open up Godot 4. Can I type? Oh, I apparently typoed my way to success. All right, so this is Godot 4 source code. We want to go to object CPP, and we want to check out this line. So I'm not sure if it'll be the exact same line because I have master checked out here, and this is. Oh, this is Godot 3. I did not typo my way into success. Hang on. Try this again. Godot 4. All right. I was working on some WebXR stuff last night. Trying to get it so you can change the display refresh rate in the headset in WebXR. Got an open PR for that. Anyway, we're going to head over for the third time here. Do object CPP, and what was it, 1689? Here we go. This is the exact line. So set instance binding. So this looks like we are setting some GDExtension object, which I imagine represents the methods that you're like overriding, onto the actual object in engine, and it looks like it's being null. So how are we getting to this place? It might actually make sense to compile Godot so that we can get debug symbols for Godot and maybe set like some breakpoints and see exactly like which thing is causing this problem. More information is never bad. So maybe let's do that. It should only take a moment. Let me see. Okay, so we're on my WebXR frame rate branch. That's fine. We can stay on this branch. It may even already been compiled when I was working on this yesterday. No, I guess I messed with it a little bit since my last compile, but it'll compile in a moment. And then we need to make some changes in this project over here. So in our launch that we were messing with before, we need to tell it, no, don't launch RC1. We need to, in fact, launch this custom compiled Godot 4, which is located somewhere around here and is named this. Oop. Put a double bin. Bin/bin. Get rid of one of those bins. All right, so this will launch that version of the editor. Cool. And then we need to tell VS Code where the code for Godot is, I think, unless default paths get put into the debug symbols. Let's just try it and see what happens. Otherwise, I do know, or I can find, because I have it in some other projects, the configuration where you say that certain source code can be found in certain places on your file system. So let's run this again and see what happens. Oh, and I didn't set any breakpoints. Oh, well, I'm going to need to at least open the Godot 4 source code to set those breakpoints. So we're going to have to try this a couple of times again. Cool, Remy. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. All right. Let me first just add folder to workspace and add the Godot 4 source code to the workspace, which should be here. And then I can close up this one. And let's go to that object, CPP. And 1689, I think, was the line. We'll set a breakpoint here. Let's see if we can stop on that breakpoint. Man, I really thought that we would be starting from a place of not crashing, because I had it not crashing last night. Ooh, and it stopped on the breakpoint. At least everything we're trying is working. We're not trying to make the debugger work. We can start here. Although, how are we going to do this breakpoint? Because what we actually want to break on is when this is null pointer. And I never had good success with conditional breakpoints. We might need to change the code a tiny bit for me to sneak something in there. This is the downside of these like really sweet macros. Thanks, Micah. What is the easiest way to do this? We can try a conditional breakpoint. They like literally never work for me. So instance bindings equals null pointer. Let's try it, see what happens. Conditional breakpoint did not work. Ah, man. Okay. So again, it appears that the... Oh, geez, that's a lot of spinning. Come on, let me see. It appears that this fixed transform is not initialized. This weird address on the reference seems to indicate that, although sometimes weird stuff does come in the debugger. So it's hard to say. But yeah, the first issue about the binder. Let's kill this breakpoint, make a new one. Or you know what? I'm gonna reopen my VS Code with Godot 4 and make a code change here to make a nicer conditional breakpoint for ourselves, or a not conditional breakpoint, a hackety conditional breakpoint. So let's say if I guess we have to do it above here. If instance bindings equals null pointer. We'll have to put some code here so it doesn't get optimized away. We'll say printf, this is the time. And we'll set a breakpoint on this line. We'll recompile Godot. Or we don't want to set a breakpoint on this line in this VS Code. We want to set a breakpoint on this line in this VS Code. We can now confuse ourselves with how many VS Codes we have going. All right, so we'll kill this, get rid of some of these terminals. Godot is building vigorously over here. Yeah, I'm also just a little bit curious about what calls set instance binding. I guess we'll find out as soon as we actually get our breakpoint to work, but no, not here in Godot 4. Well, did it compile? It compiled. I'll just run it. That will hopefully answer all of my questions. All right, we hit the breakpoint. This is a spot where, for some reason, this instance bindings is null. This is actually interesting. I was thinking instance bindings was something being passed in, but it's actually a member of the class. All right. Well, let's find our call stack here. So GDExtension set instance binding, which is being called by something in here. Interesting. So we have our register types. We are creating our singleton. Do we need to do something special to create an instance of a like GDExtension provided node? Is it not enough to like mem new it? That is an interesting question. So we've registered all these classes. I'm assuming we've already registered sgfixed. Yep, so we registered sgfixed as a class in the class DB here. Then we create it, and as part of its initialization, set instance binding is being called on it, and then in engine, it's having a problem because this instance bindings. Or wait. I'm doing this backwards. I'm checking for when it is null pointer, and the fail condition is when it's not null pointer. Yeah. I'm doing this backwards. Let's null pointer is the correct situation. So let's build again, and we'll try this again. I had it running yesterday. I had like nothing was working. Nothing was working, but it was like loading into the editor, and I could see the objects and I could see the scenes. I had solved like a couple little bugs with like it wasn't loading the resources, and it turned out I don't know if you guys remember from the last stream when I was registering the classes in the class DB, which we were just looking at like a second ago. I didn't know what the difference was between an abstract and virtual class, and I'm like, well, in the C++ sense, these are abstract classes, so I did GD register abstract class, but that created problems. It like meant everything that was a child of them like didn't exist in the class DB, so I switched them to virtual. Okay, then they existed, then the scenes loaded. That was good. But now we're stuck on this issue. All right, so now this is the time. So, instance binding, post init. Interesting. SG area 2D, which is an SG collision object 2D. We are getting the error from an SG collision object 2D. So let's just keep walking up the stack. Get documentation. Cool. I really want to figure out how we can pass the documentation to the editor from GDExtension, because I haven't figured that out yet. Okay, so we instantiate it. We end up in some create method that's created by this macro. Post initialize. Set binding. And then here we are, where the instance bindings apparently were already set once, and it's attempting to set them again. Instance bindings, what's in there? I don't really know how this is meant to work, so when would it have gotten called the previous time? We have our area 2D is getting created. Area 2D is simple. We just have the one constructor with no arguments. It's got collision object 2D parent. Is it possible that it got registered once as a collision object 2D and then registered again as an SG area 2D? Let's go look at SG collision object. Or even further up the chain, because this is a child of SG fixed node 2D. Okay, so our post initialize create. What does the create method actually look like? Look inside this macro, see what it looks like. Initialize class, create. So it memnews the object, returns new object owner. And it's this post initialize, probably this initialize handler? No. What is actually calling GDExtension object set instance binding? Like what is actually calling that? Because this is still in the, or no, this isn't. O code. So it's GDExtension object set instance binding. Okay, so it looks like it's not being called from here, it's just being set up from here, so we need to switch over to the GDExtension side. It might be calling it by a different name, because it does a lot of stuff with like function pointers. Well, we'll take one last extension object set instance binding. Okay, yeah, so it's got this function pointer, object set instance binding, which gets called via post initialize. Okay, we're back into post initialize land. Yeah, all I can think is that like maybe it's getting initialized multiple times because we have a hierarchy. Does this matter? Is it okay if it gets double initialized that way? I don't know the answer to these questions. All right, let's set aside this particular problem for the moment and focus on the seg fault. Let's focus on the seg fault. So I'll go get rid of that one breakpoint. It is quite nice though that we can set breakpoints both in the engine and in the GDExtension and have them all work. That is awesome. So let's just let you run to completion here, which will be this seg fault. And let's go over here. We may have more information now because we switched to using a debug build of the engine, which I don't know that I would have done that if we weren't debugging the other issue. So debugging the other issue was not a waste of time. It was not. I swear. I hope. Okay, so we're getting a notification. This is in the actual engine. So we're entering the tree. Okay, so yeah, we go even further up. We're adding a node to the tree. This far up, let's see if we can see the name of the node. And this data is null, so that's not going to help us, I don't think. GD, which one? Be really sweet to know the name of the node. Because all we can see is that we had data, because these are nodes, they have that sort of like internal like node data object that goes inside of the node itself. So maybe we have a name of the node, like the name in the scene, not the name of the class, if that makes any sense. Cow data. Okay. It was automatically named. That doesn't help us at all. Man. We don't need the table. Don't need this data. It's null. Okay, well, we're adding it. It's getting put in the tree. We're entering the tree. The notification that we're entering the tree, which drops us down into sync to physics engine, where we are setting the transform based on our global transform. We're trying to get our global transform, which hands off to this get global fixed transform internal. Which is where everything goes wrong. So thinking back to that bindings thing we were working on that I said we were going to stop thinking about, thinking about the thing that we're supposed to be stopping thinking about, it had to do with registering creation callbacks, right? Is it possible that because that's going awry, our constructor is never getting called? Is that a thing that can occur? Because if our constructor is not getting called, that would explain this seg fault. Since the constructor is supposed to be the thing that's, creating this object, let's add some code here to help test. Because the debugger is being very unclear about whether this fixed transform is null or not. So we're going to say fixed transform is null. We'll add a little printf here. It is null. And even set a breakpoint. And let's retry this. Oh, but it's not, we're going to recompile it though. Hang on. I really need to do the thing I was talking about earlier of making 2 VS Code projects, because or at least maybe spend way more time trying to see how I can configure this one VS Code project to work better for both Godot 3 and 4 at the same time. Because the build stuff in the VS Code project is for building the Godot 3 thing, and maybe I could set up 2. I don't know. Let's just run the command line arguments to build this. Built. Done. All right, now launch it. Now do your thing. Well, my breakpoint didn't stick. Why did my breakpoint not stick? Every time I try to place it here, it puts it down there. It's given me the distinct feeling that it didn't actually recompile. Oh, wait. I was going to say I recompiled it here, but not in the project, but the project is here. It's... Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. I really saved you. I really compiled you. And yet it's not hitting my breakpoint. Is it printing anything? It's printing this is the time. Let's just recompile this so we can get rid of that this is the time message. It's not printing, it is null. Man. Another option too is there's definitely something going on here with the project that's trying to load, but I had it loading yesterday, which is what's frustrating about this. We could try loading an empty project and building up from pieces rather than trying to load this pre-existing project. We'll try this one more time, and if this doesn't give us any useful intel, I think that's what we'll do. I think that's what we'll switch to. Never printed, still doesn't want to let us put a breakpoint there. Huh. Okay, let's do what I said. So I think we need to create a new project. Let's to PJ games. And actually, yeah, I'll launch the... We'll go back to RC1. No, we're not going to go back to RC1. We're going to keep using the Godot that we're compiling. And we're going to create a new project. It's going to be in PRJ Games. And we are going to name the project SG Physics 2D Godot for test. Create. I don't know why it's defaulting to compatibility. I'll just put on forward for the heck of it. I do use compatibility a lot. And next up, we need to go into our SG Physics 2D Godot 4 test, and we need to copy in our GDExtension, which is going to get weird as we're updating it. I know for a fact I'm gonna recompile it. I'm gonna forget to copy it over, and then I'm gonna be like, guys, why is our change not happening? So I think instead of copying it, I'm gonna symlink it. I don't know if that'll work the way I'm expecting it to, but let's find out. So now we have an SG Physics 2D directory in here, which has our GDExtension stuff. There we go. Now, let's make a main scene so we can run some GDScript code. And let's do something simple with SG Physics 2D, like convert a fixed point or a floating point value to a fixed point value. It is auto-completing. That's always a good sign. The number will be 10 so that it's easy to check visually if it's correct or not. Oops. All right, so let's run it. Select current, yep. That is wrong. Oh, because I didn't mean to float, I meant from float. All right, try again. Take 2. Hey, there you go. So at a very basic level, it is loading. Like, it's loading. Let's make some physics objects and see what they do. So we're gonna add, let's add an SG area. Ooh. We crashed. So trying to add a node led to the instance binding issue, which is weird because I definitely had nodes in a scene yesterday. Let's try. I have feelings about the hierarchy thing. Like maybe if we try to create a node that just descends from a Godot node, but doesn't descend from an SG Physics node, which descends from a Godot node, right? Rather than having that sort of hierarchy, see if it works in the simpler case. All right, restart the editor here. So let's try creating an SG fixed node 2D, which descends from node 2D, and see if that works. It does. It does work. And then let's add this SG fixed position 2D, which descends from a fixed node 2D. we still got the thing about the bindings there. Actually, I'm gonna watch this. So we had these 3 messages from earlier. Let's see if we get a new message now. Huh. So that actually worked. It didn't give us any new messages. So my hierarchy idea is wrong. Well, let's try adding an SG collision shape. That also seemed to work. Let's try setting one of our shape resources, like a rectangle shape. Not object internal is true. Not object internal is true. So that's in the physics server, line 508. So SG physics server 508. Okay, so here we're saying collision object add shape. We're taking the collision object ID, the shape ID. We're saying, here's my RID, give me the real underlying object, and it's saying it doesn't really exist. So that was in SG collision shape 2D. Where I think we did have to do this weird stuff with constructors. I think. Or maybe it was in the resources we had to. Let's look at the code here. So where would that get called? It would be collision object add shape, right? That was what we were looking at before. Let me just drop back here and see. Collision object add shape, yep. And the collision object RID would be null. Maybe it's related to inheriting from abstract classes. I tried to fix this but failed. Let me move this over to our streamed screen here. Extension always being registered as abstract. Yeah, so this, I did encounter this, and what I did was I made them be virtual rather than abstract, because I didn't really know what the difference between abstract and virtual was anyway, and then they seemed to work. If you can educate me on the difference, Ricardo, between abstract and virtual classes in the class DB, that would be great. My original assumption was that they were like abstract versus virtual in C++, where abstract means pure virtual. There are no there's methods with no implementation at all, and virtual meaning all the virtual methods have at least like a default implementation. But I don't know if that's true. Testing my known when you inheriting 2D, which is suboptimal. No 2D. However, I'd like to inherit camera side. Yes, this is exactly what I was getting when I registered them as abstract classes. Meaning we think the idea makes sense. We should probably clear our mind on how to handle abstract and virtual classes in extension versus core. In any case, we prefer not to purchase PR right now, as it's causing unwanted crashes. It would really, really suck if the conclusion of this whole thing is that GDExtension isn't ready to allow it. Like that, I can't actually get SG Physics 2D working because of GDExtension issues. I mean, I guess that means that I'll be working on GDExtension issues. But things in the engine to virtual instead of abstract, so they can be instanced on the engine level. What is the difference between virtual and abstract? So what was the fix here that you were working on, Ricardo? So basically, it would try to find a creation function on a class that descends from an abstract class. So like the hierarchy could have an abstract class, and then the next one's abstract, the next one's abstract, but then this one down here is non-abstract, and so you'd like walk the tree and find that. That makes sense. Sucks that something so simple is causing crashes. Okay, so what was the last crash that we had? The last issue. Okay, it was this object internal is true. So that would mean this object, this collision shape. Oh, this actually makes sense though, doesn't it? Because we have no object. Because this is the collision shape with no object above it. Let's try adding a static body. Let's see if static body crashes things. Looks like static body crashes things. Let's see what the backtrace gives us. Yeah, I think in GDExtension, abstract classes can't be instantiated, and virtual classes are classes that can technically be instantiated and have default method implementations which print an error. Okay, so I do have some classes that were intended to be abstract and never instantiated, but I can, at least temporarily, make them be virtual classes by giving some like null, no op default methods. Yeah, I did switch to virtual at some point. Okay, so adding a static body leads to this same issue that we were looking at before. So very well could have been a static body causing the issue before. We end up in sync to physics engine, set global fixed transform, get global fixed transform internal, get global fixed transform internal. It's going to be something dumb. It's going to be something dumb that's crashing us. I just know it. So one option is that we comment out what's crashing us and see what we hit after that, and maybe that will give us a clue as to what is going on. That is my next debugging trick we're going to try. So the crash again, where was it? It was in sgfix node 2D, get global fixed transform internal. So we are just going to return an empty transform, the identity transform in every case, and see where we get to next. So we need actually the CPP of this file. And let's get global fixed transform. We're going to get rid of this. You're gone. We're going to return SG fixed transform internal. There you go. And compile. This 03 doesn't seem right. I don't want that. Do I do dev build equals yes? Just like, no. Hang on, let's look at this S construct. Is it because I'm using target editor? Target, hang on, let's try debug. It is. Yeah, okay. How do I make a debug editor build? I guess my S construct is not set up to do that. Okay, let's change gears a little bit here to hopefully get some better debug information. I'm going to delete this editor build, and I'm going to scons target debug. I do want to have editor stuff going on. I want to get the docs in there. I want to get oh, we have to do Godot CPP also. But right now we just need to get things like working so we can get in there and like have a hold on something. Just need to find a bastion. Target debug. Template debug. I hope the editor will still load this. I mean, I guess we can always rename it. We can rename it to be the editor. Or I modify, you know, my S construct to put the right O flag in there. My worry is that the -03 is removing some information that would be useful for debugging, that the -OG would be leaving for us. Ooh, I've been bringed. Thank you, anonymous bringer. I hope that wasn't too loud. I like cranked up the desktop audio earlier when I was showing my jam game. I'm gonna turn it back down just in case. You guys let me know if that bring noise was super loud. Okay, so that looks like it should have compiled our stuff. Maybe to be safe, I'll do a clean and then do it again, just to make sure that everything is compiled with this -OG. And then let's load this up in the editor and see what happens. Cannot open editor. Well, yeah, because I like moved it, dudes. Okay, so I guess we do need to name it. At least we need to maybe not name it, but have the editor entry in the .GDExtension file point at the editor or point at the version. You'll see what I mean. It's G physics. This one. So right now we have editor pointing at the editor build, which makes sense. But what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily comment this out, which I think we do with a semicolon. I'm not 100% sure. And we're going to replace it with the debug version. So I say editor equals this. We'll see what happens here. Let's try running the editor again. Oh, you are not anonymous anymore. A Mr. Mondilau. You got a pretty cool character, actually. You got the spiky shoulders, some shortly cut hair, maybe a soldier of some kind. Okay, so this appears to have loaded. All right, beautiful. Let's. What were we working on? Let's add a static body, SG static body, and let's see what we get. No crash! No crash! Okay, cool. We didn't learn anything new, at least not yet. But let's try adding a collision shape to it. We did get an issue about the instance bindings not equaling null pointer. Let's try assigning a rectangle shape. It's there. We have a rectangle shape. None of our editor plugins are here because we built the non-editor version. So I can't like grab the little handle and pull it, but we can mess with it in here. See it get bigger. Okay. So what we need to know is how an SG static body 2D can be created without the fixed transform reference being initialized, right? Because that's what that crash seemed to be about before. Not this one, this one. That was in SG fixed node 2D. So the thing that was appearing to crash was this. I'm actually a little curious now that we like changed all the debug flags. Do we get better information in the debugger? When we launch it now, and I'm going to launch the new test project we made. So that means we have to go back to our launch JSON and add some more stuff here. Path, and then we have to give the path to this project. So and let's launch it, see what happens. Frequently, getting good debug information is like 90% of the battle. Oh, and I didn't recompile it. You got to recompile it, dude. All right, so now I've recompiled it. And let's kill this and let's launch it again. So this should crash because I brought back the code that was crashing before. And the debugger should trigger us over to here. Yep, here's the seg fault. So let's see if we can get some better intel. We have a lot of spinning. There's a lot of spinning going on. Stack trace does actually seem slightly deeper. Or no, I'm imagining that. It's the same. It's the same stack trace as before. Okay. So we do have better intel, which is fabulous. This reference is still weird, but we do see the parent class, which we did not see before. At least I don't think we did. So we can see info there. Binding callbacks. I'd be curious to see what's in there too. I hopefully didn't click too many things to like break the debugger. I think I'm using LLDB still. I've been having just weird issues with GDB, the GNU debugger in Godot 4. Okay, so we can see on the binding callbacks here, which hopefully got set on this node, that SG fixed node TD binding create callback is our create callback, which is what we want at this level, right? And it really does seem like this fixed transform is null, and that's the problem. but there really should be no way for it to ever be null if the constructor is getting called, right? We did a code change earlier that didn't work because I think probably because something was getting optimized away. We'll try it again. We'll do the fixed transform is null. Printf I'm null. I forget if I need to put a new line. I think I do. I think I need to put a new line at the end of that. Then we can set a breakpoint here eventually, once we've recompiled. It still doesn't want to let me set a breakpoint here. Why? Why can't I set a breakpoint here? It's so frustrating. Okay, I was hoping... Oh, now we're getting optimized out again? We may have been getting it before too, and I just wasn't paying attention. Do we have to... We don't have to explicitly call our parent constructors in C++, do we? I don't think we do. So do we know if this is really a static body problem? Or if this is an any node problem. Let's try to verify that. Let's try to verify that this is related specifically to SG static body 2Ds and not just plain old SG fixed. Although I guess no, it has to be the static bodies, because if we follow the stack trace, we have the sync to physics engine. That's what's triggering this whole thing, which is calling get global fixed transform. Base constructors are automatically called for you if they have no argument. If you want to call a superclass constructor with an argument, you must move the subclass constructor initialization list. Yeah. I just don't understand. I'm sorry, guys, for this turning into such an inactive stream, is what I will call it. I really thought we were going to be doing interesting stuff today, but we're stuck on this one crash. This one crash that I can't seem to figure out. It doesn't make any sense that this would be null. And of course, it's not printing out the thing I put there to say it is null. And if it's not null, like why? Or maybe it's not null. Maybe it's just some random number, because it is showing that the value of the reference, I forget where it is this like address that just cannot be. Hey, Alan, welcome to the stream. It goes mediumly. Hey Logan, I missed you sneaking in there. I was showing our Game Jam game earlier. I had a hack up on the screen. I missed your. Oop, I smacked the microphone. I missed your character. Oh, there's your character. You got the sailor hat and a kind of sweet beard going. Yeah. It is very nerve-wracking coding to an audience. Thank you for coming, though. It is great to have the company and be able to chat with you guys. The response seemed positive, Logan, to hack up to our Global Game Jam game from last weekend. Yeah, I'm trying to chase down a crash with my GDExtension that doesn't make any sense. It's like it's as if the constructor for the class is not getting called. And that is super weird. The constructor for a base class, actually, not for the class itself, at least as far as I can tell. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna comment this out for a moment. We are going to recompile. This should let us launch the editor without it crashing. And I'm gonna make a new test case that's easier to debug, hopefully. We're going to eliminate a bunch of factors, a bunch of variables here. So we're not going to create any nodes in the scene, but we are going to have a script. And this script is going to create some nodes and call some stuff on them. So we're going to say fix node, call it fn. All that's going to confuse me. I'm going to think it's function. We'll say fix node equals sg fixed node to d new. We're going to say add child fixed node to d, and then we're going to say global xform equals fixed node get global fixed transform, and we're going to print global xform origin. So what this is going to answer, hopefully, is if the plain old sgfix node 2d will hit the same crash when we call get global fixed transform on it. And if it doesn't, then we're going to change this to sg static body 2d, and then that will show us, I guess, if the crash still happens, then of course this test is good. If it doesn't happen, then it's like, okay, I screwed up the test somehow. We need to test fixed node differently. But we'll try to narrow down exactly what combination of factors lead to this crash. So we got to put the crashing code back in. Six lines of code. Welcome to the stream. I do seem to be on Linux. If you can reproduce the crash reliably, you could try recording with RR so you can reverse step and watch memory locations while reverse continue. I am not totally familiar with that approach. I mean, I've been running it in the line debugger. I'm using LLDB for whatever reason. GDB doesn't agree with Godot 4 for me, which lets me, step through line by line and inspect the memory semi-reliably. But I'm not familiar with RR and doing what you're describing. I guess I can Google it. Linux RR debugging. How to debug C and C+ programs with RR. Is packaged with some stuff. Okay, RR records trace information about execution of application. This information allows you to repeatedly replay a particular recording of a failure and examine it in GDB. In our case, we probably have to use LLDB. In addition to replaying the trace, R lets you run the program in reverse. That is interesting. That is very interesting. This is something that I should check out at some point. I think for today, we're just going to keep trying to narrow down what causes this crash. And then I think off stream I will do some investigation into this and see how it works. Oh, cool! Micah's gonna check out the game after stream. Hey, Andre. So Andre made this extension that allows launching multiple instances of a game from the Godot editor and connecting a different debugger to each one, and then being able to switch between the debuggers. That is so very cool, man. I can't believe you pulled that off. Yeah, I should share the link because it is just so cool. It is in a different part of the Discord, and I will grab it. Out to the world. No, that's not the link, Discord. Why do you change all the links? Why do you change all the links? Okay, I actually have to visit it, and then I can copy and paste it. All right. Furroy, hey Furroy, welcome to the stream. Oh, you got a kind of plain looking dude. You're like running the NPC item shop for us. Maybe check if transform is null before multiplying it. Yeah, so it appears to not be null. It appears to be some random address that doesn't seem realistic. Sorry for the sniffling. I kind of got a cold. I'm gotta try not to sniffle. But yeah, we're narrowing things down here. We're trying to figure out how it can be this uninitialized state. Okay, so I re-enabled the breaky code. I can't remember if I recompiled. Let's just do it again. Okay, I guess I did. Let's launch with all the debuggers connected. All your debuggers belong to me. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps wanting to force me to put that breakpoint there. Oh, but I actually need to run it. The difference between my previous test and this test is we don't want to run in the editor anymore. Okay, let's go to launch JSON, and we are going to change this slightly to remove the -- editor, and now this should do what we want. Should launch our little demo project, creating a sgFixedNode2D, calling the crashy method on it, and seeing if it succeeds or not. It did not succeed. Okay, this is good. This means it's not some weird hierarchy thing. It's something else. So we created a FixedNode2D, which should have run the constructor, which is this guy over here. And it appears to not have run the constructor. Or it appears to have destroyed the fixed transform way too early. Is that a thing that can happen? Is there some issue, Ricardo, you might know, with GDExtension counting references wrong and destroying references before they should be? But let's verify that the constructor is running. So the crash is happening even with just sgFixedNode2D, not even the static bodies. Ooh, I've been bringed again. Thank you, anonymous bringer. Feel free to identify yourself, because I don't have the Twitch dashboard thing open, so I only get the sound. I don't get to see who is the person behind it. Okay, so the constructor is running. Oop. Just give me back to where I was. Just take me to the next line. Take me to the next line. Can you do that? Okay. So it appears that the transform is initialized. It works right after we've initialized it. We're not having issues here. let's look at the address of its reference and see if it seems like a real memory address and not a fake one. So fixed transform. Yeah, okay, reference looks like a real address. How do we get to a point where for some reason it no longer contains a valid reference? So let's just look at everywhere we do fixed transform. Yeah, we basically assume that it's valid through the entire class. We don't do anything that I can see to like actually change the reference. We just change the data in the reference. Yeah, even when we reassign the fixed transform, we still keep the same reference. We're just updating again its data. We're taking the data outside of the internal of the one we're assigning to it, and then we assign it. So the only thing that really seems to make sense is maybe the reference counting has gone awry. Is that a thing? Can the reference counting go awry? Another tool to check what's going on with memory is valgrind. It doesn't require recompiles, but it's slow as molasses. Ricardo says, I've heard of ref count issues in general in GDExtension. I don't know if this is one. Okay. You heard of a thing. It seems like something that's tickling my brain. Let's go search the issue queue here. GDExtension ref count. What's a good way to search for this? GDExtension ref. Surface tool crash and commit. Stack smashing detected when accessing resource loader. GDExtension ref counted. Cannot be reloaded while the editor is running. Yeah, it's kind of expected. GDExtension isn't really designed for that. GDExtension ref. We'll search in PRs in case they didn't make it to an issue. Change ref to allow non-const pointer access. It's more explicit on when return value should be passed initialized. That doesn't sound like it's related, but I'll check it out anyway. Ref counted. No, this would be too much in PRs. Let's go see issues. Just try that search, GDExtension. We have a tracker issue for this? Okay, I'm totally getting off course here, but like, I didn't know this was a thing. When did Bastian make this? Not even that long ago? And we've never talked about it at one of the meetings? There's actually an XR team meeting tonight. Well, anyway, back on track here. Try the Godot CPP repo. Oh. Yeah, searching Rocket Chat would be another thing to try, but yeah, the easier to do on stream it would be the Godot CPP repo. Let's do GitHub, Godot engine, Godot CPP. Search for ref. Crash using ref as a parameter. Turning ref in virtual methods. Ooh, something from Bastian. Okay, so let's look at some of these things that I opened. These were the ones we were looking at earlier about the abstract classes. Change ref to allow non-const access to pointer. This does not seem like related to us at all. Improve GDExtension to be more explicit when a terminal should be passed initialized. This also seems not related to what we're doing here. Okay, so that didn't turn up anything. Let's go back to Godot CPP. In either case, passing a foo object crashed the application. For image, it seemed okay. By giving a variable statement. This seems unrelated also. After doing a bunch of research in the last couple of days, I figured out a detailed bit of conclusion on the issue. It's important to realize that the object class refT is not published through GDExtensions. The implementation of refT on the Godot CPP side is a separate but nearly identical implementation of this class. Only object pointers of class T are exchanged, and it is the refT implementation on the Godot CPP side that reference counting is handling. When we look at normal script calls into GDExtension, all parameters, including return parameter, are all encoded into variants. Thus, only variants are exchanged between Godot and the extension. When an object subclassed from refCounted is passed through a variant, the variant class handles refcounting, and thus also properly increases or decreases the refcount on the object. When we look at virtual method calls, different here, one supporting data side. The important bit here is pointer to arg and code T, which provides a mechanism for storing the data we are exchanging and some compiler magic to convert between the original object and the storage type. Actual call to method side inside takes pointer to storage, which is an array of pointers to our arguments, blah, blah, blah. Pointer to argument. So the first thing that stands out here is type, def, refT, and code T. So we're using refT as our storage, and thus duplicating the reference. We are thus sending pointers to our refT variables to GDExternal. I'm assuming he means GDExtension, even though GDExtension has no idea about Godot's refT class. Our two methods, encode and convert, are not used here. They're used in other cases. What stands out is that encode takes refT and encodes it into a const void pointer, assumed to be a pointer to a refT variable. However, convert is assuming our const T void is a pointer to T. That does sound like a problem. So far, I don't know if this relates to us though. So is this about the return type? We are definitely doing that. We're definitely returning. So if we look at the code in question here, we are calling get global fixed transform, which is returning a refT, but we're not really failing on the edge here, like the edge between GDExtension and Godot. We're failing earlier than that, or at least I think we are. I think we're failing earlier than that, in that our where's the code here? So our get, sorry for the yawn, I've been very underslept this week. It's in get global fixed transform. Get global fixed transform internal. Okay, so this is where we're failing. Although do we know? We just know that it's a seg fault, right? I guess I can let this continue and then it should get me the seg fault and I can look at it for real. I hit it twice. That was a mistake. Should have hit it once and just waited. Can we break on any line before the line that gets the seg fault? Oh, jeez. She fixed to T. Get global transformers. Okay. Just let me break on any line here. Just give me a line. Give me a line I can break on. And we should be stuck at an earlier breakpoint. Where is that? It's in the constructor, I think. Oh, we were there for a second. What is going on? VS Code, take me to your leader. There we go. So we're stopped on this breakpoint. Let's get rid of that breakpoint. Let's jump to the seg fault, or jump to the breakpoint before the seg fault that we're hopefully going to hit. Okay, we hit it. Let's inspect what's going on here. Let's look at the fixed transform. Oh, so the fixed transform does have a rational reference. Like that looks like a real piece of memory. So I wonder if the seg fault happening is what's breaking, making it look like the memory's all messed up. So let's just keep stepping here. Fixed parent is optimized out, which is crazy. I mean, we have all the optimizations turned down. I don't know who to trust. Oh, interesting. So here we are on... We're actually going to recurse a little bit, it seems. It seems we're going to recurse a little bit here. So let's just step forward. And we're here. I didn't see this recursion in the stack trace before. I wonder if this is a non-crashing call to the same method, which would also be interesting. Oh, here's our is null check. GCC knows an optimization flag. Yep, we're using that exact flag. We actually, 20 minutes ago or so, went through a little process to ensure that we were using that flag. So we know we are. We can even maybe see it up here a little earlier. Yep, so we have the -G3 and -OG right in there. Okay, so what happens next? So here we have the seg fault. That's interesting. So I did not see this recursion at all. I don't know if I was just not paying enough attention, but now I do see the recursion, and it appears that it's the second call that has the problem. Maybe that's a clue somehow. I just don't know what piece of memory is not initialized that's giving us this problem, because it looked through both, times through the method that the fixed transform was initialized. I guess let's try it again. Let's try it again and pay more attention. It might have to go into the linker command line as well. Perhaps that's the issue. Maybe. Hey, Mohammed, welcome to the stream. Oh, I never looked at 6 lines of code, you have a sweet mustache and a dress. Or at least what looks like a dress. Might not be. I don't know. It's hard to interpret in this pixel art. Mohammed, you have like what kind of looks like a gladiator or like wrestler outfit going. It's looking awesome. Moonin Games, welcome to the stream. You've got a Hulk Hogan kind of stash going with the spikes. Doesn't -OG disable optimizations that interfere with debugging, and -O0 actually disables all optimizations? I believe you are correct. Yes, but I think I still think the -OG is what we want-ish. Maybe. I mean, we could try the other one, and that might get us some better intel. All right, so here we are trying again. We're going through the first iteration of this method where parent is something, but it might not tell us. No, I don't want the registers. Okay. Oh, it is. It's not saying optimized away this time. That's interesting. So parent exists. Parent exists. How can it exist? We know what our scene tree looks like, right? We know what our scene tree looks like, and it isn't. There is no parent SG fixed node 2D. There just isn't. I wonder if the way we're doing this this object cast to and all that stuff, what if that just doesn't work from a GD extension? What if we need to use a different method to determine the type of our parent node? Because we have a parent node, but it is not an SG fixed node 2D. It is a node 2D. And this object cast to is supposed to return null if the actual type of the object that you're trying to cast isn't the requested type. It's using like RTTI or whatever to make that determination. But that's in engine. That's like in Godot itself. We're now over in GDExtension land. Like, what if this just doesn't work the way that it's supposed to? Because now we recurse, right? We are recursing, and the pointer is supposedly to an SG fixed node 2D. So we'll hit the right place on the virtual table, and we'll end up back in the right method. But what if this here is full of gobbledygook? Because this is actually pointing to a node 2D, and we're treating it as if it's an SG fixed node 2D. And that's the source of our seg fault. Anyway. Hey Shindig 9000, welcome to the stream. Oh, you have a really sweet looking character that may or may not be a dress, or it could be like a wizard cloak kind of thing. I don't know, but you look awesome. An orc with a big beard. I love it. So you're making an online game. Yeah, so I make online games, and at some point I created the Godot rollback netcode add-on. It's an add-on for making games in Godot with rollback netcode, and to accommodate that, I also created this SG Physics 2D, which is a deterministic physics engine that's meant to be used with that netcode add-on, and all of that is in Godot 3, and we are working on porting SG Physics 2D, the physics engine, the deterministic physics engine, to Godot 4, with the idea that that will open up the way to port the rollback netcode add-on to Godot 4 as well. I was looking into that recently. I was trying to figure out the safest and easiest way to handle it without having to hand your friend your external IP address. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways. Nothing Godot specific, though, actually. You would do it the usual way. So if you did a peer-to-peer game, you would be giving up your IP address unless you forced it to run through a relay. So like Godot supports WebRTC for its high-level multiplayer API. It's one of the possible backends. And if all you have is a stun server to get the players connected, they're going to know each other's IP addresses. But if you use a turn server, which is a relay. It'll actually relay the traffic through the turn server. Then only the turn server will know the IP addresses of all of the players, but the players won't be able to know that from each other. So that's one option, but there's a lot of options. There's not just one way to do it. What name user for YouTube? Are you asking what my YouTube username is? It's, yeah, Snowpeck Games, with the Snowpeck and Games crashed right into each other. Should that cast to a pointer? It usually does cast to a pointer to sgfix node to. So this code was all copied from in-engine code to GDExtension. And I can tell you that in engine, this is correct. This will work inside the Godot engine. But in GDExtension, what if it doesn't, right? That's the current theory I'm operating on. I'm not sure. Oh, you made a rollback thing? That's awesome. Thanks. 6 lines code. Object cast to in Godot CPP definitely checks types with P object owner. I assume that's the Godot class type. The thing is, it's wrong right now somehow, right? Because we know what our scene tree looks like, and we know the parent of this node is not an sgfix node 2D, right? We know that. In fact, Godot knows that. Look, or maybe not. Maybe it just knows just about its parent class or something. But here it says fix parent is node 2D. Oh, but it says it for us down here too. So maybe that's not a good hint. But we know that our parent is not an sgfix node 2D. At least I think so. Yeah, because we're only creating one sgfix node 2D, and we're adding it to a parent that is a node 2D. Like, that's what our scene tree looks like. Legitimately, that's what it looks like. So anyway, where are we? Did we recurse yet? I got so distracted looking at different chats. So okay, it looks like we have recursed. So now we are in the parent, and we're saying get parent, blah blah blah. And nothing has happened. Let's press it again. It might just be stuck here. Ooh, Ricardo, cast 2 works incorrectly in GDExtension for custom classes. Ricardo, you are the man. You are on top of this stuff. Discard. Issue from the main repository related to GDExtension does not properly work in the case of custom GDExtension classes. For example, a null pointer is not returned in some cases where an object cannot be cast to the desired type. Let test node inherit from node 2D, some node be of type node 2D. Yep. This seems exactly like what the problem is. This really does. Let's go see what their fix is. Wait, their fix has been merged. Oh, but into a different repo. GDExtension support. Okay, this is not a fix. This is, okay. I thought he said he had a fix. From my experience, it seems that cast2 works with custom classes as if they are their base class. As in this example, I can cast all the classes inherited from node 2D to test node and cannot cast any other type. The G script, although works fine with casting custom classes, see example. C++ code for casting in-engine also seems to work fine. Step 2. Okay, so he doesn't have a fix. We need a fix. We need a fix. Hey, Slacks, welcome to the stream. You got a bearded, bald guy who looks not entirely dissimilar from me, at least in that respect, and then some sweet, like, paladin armor or something going there. Can you check what your class's get class static does? Maybe that has to be built by hand. I doubt it has to be built by hand. It probably has to be built by macro, and maybe the macro is wrong. There are a lot of bugs in GDExtension as of present, and I would not be surprised if there is one here. But yeah, I can see what we have there. Let's start digging into it. It looks like you're digging into it the way that I intend to be digging into it momentarily. Although, oh geez, we only have like 5 more minutes left on this stream. All right, let's see how far we can get. So object cast 2. Checks if it's null, returns. Yep, so here we are on this class get static type. So GDExtension object pointer casted internal GDE interface object cast2 p object owner internal class DB get class tag class name native pointer. I have a suspicion about where this might be going wrong. The GD interface is going to know about our entry in the class DB, but it isn't going to know anything about the object that we have on this end, right? And maybe that's mitigated here somehow. But let me think this through for a second. So we're going to be passed an object, right? This get parent, which is going to, in actual fact, be a node 2D. And we need for GDExtension to say, hey, this is not only a node 2D, but it has had like the instance binding magic happen to it for the class name that we are passing in. And then we end up in this reinterpret cast, which seems dangerous. I guess it's making the assumption that this is absolutely correct, right? So we need to see what's going on here. So we'll look at what get class static is per what 6 lines of code is saying. And then we're going to dig into what is happening in this GD interface object cast2. And we're going to run out of time real soon. Hey, Szkolna Lo-Fi, dzień dobry. Witam. It's interesting to see what game development actually looks like. And we have Alan, Bick, Elliot. There are definitely levels of game dev. This is under the hood C++ bananas level. This, yes, I concur. I do a lot of different stuff on my YouTube and stream, though. We do things way down in the weeds like this. We do things where we're actually hacking on the Godot engine itself because I'm a Godot contributor, maintainer as well. And then we do like making little dumb games and stuff too. But today we are deep in the weeds. We are down in here. Okay, so 6 lines of code wants to know, what does our get class static look like? So let's go back to here, and I think we'll find the answer to this question in our H file, because I suspect this get class static comes from this macro. Yes, get class static comes from the macro. It will be exactly the thing that I'm passing into the macro, the M class. So this should be correct. It's going to be sgfix node 2D. We need to see what's going on in... No, where was the thing? Where was I looking? I was in a thing not that long ago. It was... I've lost it. Let's get back to the crashing code. I can get back to where I was from there. So GDE interface, I assume, is a pile of function pointers that's passed to us from the Godot engine. I don't know that for a fact, but I assume that's what that is. GDE interface, GDExtension interface. Yes, it is a pile of function pointers passed to us from Godot. So what we need to find is, on the Godot side, we need to find what this method is on the Godot side. And I guess class DB get class tag. So object cast2. Let's look in the Godot 4 source code for object cast2. And where does it set it? Okay, so up here in GDExtension interface, CPP, we are setting object cast2 to GDExtension object cast2. So this is the thing doing the thing. So we are passing to it an object pointer, which I think would just be voodoo on the Godot side, right? Or no, it's the owner. It's the underscore owner. So this wouldn't be voodoo. This would be a pointer to the object on the Godot engine side. The P object is our local voodoo, and the owner is the one from the Godot engine. So that's cool. And it's being cast to an object. That should be fine. Is class pointer P class tag. Is class pointer. So this is in object on the Godot engine side. It's checking the get class pointer static method. If the pointer is equivalent, actually, that's weird. Okay, get class pointer static. Get class pointer static. Get class pointer static. What? Does this make sense to anybody? Okay, so we have a static method which defines a static variable and then we return the address of that variable. Why? What is this doing? Use class pointer. I am like utterly baffled. So would this not just be the same address everywhere? Is there some code that updates the value at this address? What is this? Is that class not a template? No, this is the object class. This is just a straight up object class, I think. That I'm being baffled by. Unless you asked that earlier when I was not in bafflement mode. And now I'm lost again, but that was over in object.h in the Godot engine itself, which I'm now not finding. Yeah, it was in here. So this is just the, or wait, no, okay. So this is from a macro. Okay, so it's from a macro. Okay, so this will be unique per class. Okay, so what's happening here is there's a static variable in every single class, which means that it's unique to that class. And so this pointer will also be unique to this class. But why do it this way? This is so weird. So I guess this at least makes slightly more sense in that this pointer will be a unique address for every single class in Godot where we called GD class, like where we use the GD class macro, which is all of them, right? And we're using that to identify the classes uniquely, I guess? This is too weird. Okay, well, it's definitely, yeah, it's static in the class, so to be this one in per class, which means a unique address. Like Ricardo, I think you and I are on the same page with this now. I thought I was not looking at the macro. I thought I was looking at code that was just in the object.h. So that makes more sense. It's still weird. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the advantage to that is. But anyway, so we're getting this class tag, which I guess is this address thing, which I guess the thing to check. No, so from the perspective of Godot, my SG fixed node 2D is always just a node 2D. It's just a plain node 2D, right? That has like GDExtension bindings on it. It's not a new class from the engine's perspective. I think what we probably need is some extra check here that checks that not only is it the right like class in the Godot engine, but that it has the right binding. But I don't know. I'm out of time. Well, so 6 lines code. Even if it's giving the right value, I think it might not be very useful here. So if this pointer is a pointer in the Godot engine side to that class, it doesn't have one of those for my class that I made up on the GDExtension side. At least I don't think it does. We can. I really got to get off stream and get going because I got to get to like doing like work. It's still the middle of the workday for me. But we'll look at one last thing. So the other method that was being called from here was this class DB get class tag. Class DB get class tag. No, not get. Okay, class DB get class tag, and we want to find it on the Godot end. So here it is. And what is it doing? We're passing a class name. It's getting the string name for that class name. Then it's going to the class DB and calling get pointer. This might be okay. It might not be okay. I got to spend way more time on this. Wow. So thanks everyone for coming to the stream. This was interesting, at least for me. I hope it wasn't super boring to everyone else. I was expecting that we were going to be like getting the physics engine actually working and working through, you know, different issues with it, but we're caught on this like really fundamental GDExtension probably bug that is going to need to get figured out before we can go forward at all, unfortunately. But I'm going to work on this off stream a bit and see if I can get a little further. I have that issue that Ricardo found. This, I think, is the thing. And I'll see if I can figure out a way to patch Godot or Godot CPP to get this working. But yeah. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you all have a great weekend. And I will see you all on Discord or next week on the next stream. So thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.